How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, December 10th, 2020, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to walk you through the first and second MLB team for 2020. And of course, this season I've been covering since opening day and on July 24th. This is probably going to be the last episode that I make for this year because I already did the awards in the previous episode. And last but not least, I feel like the best way to end this season before we transition to the new one is to look back on the players that were recognized by the voters as the best players at their position, like either the first or second best players that are at their position out of all the baseball players in the world, or that are in the MLB system. So I think it's really cool, really important that we kind of go through this. Starting off, I'm gonna take it position by position, starting with the second team, then starting with the first team, then go into the second team. So first, I'm gonna start with the first team starting pitchers. The first starting pitcher was the National League Cy Young winner Trevor Bauer, who in 11 games would go 5-4, post a 1.73 ERA, throw 2 complete game shutouts, and in 73 innings, he allowed 41 hits and 14 earned runs, and he would strike out 100 in those 73 innings. He helped the Cincinnati Reds finish with the third best record in the Central, and then they ended up the second best record in the Central. They lost to the Braves in the first round. And Trevor Bauer would have a great performance in that game, but they would just lose in the extra innings because the game was 3-1. Just great pitching from both sides. Trevor Bauer has been named the starting pitcher. This is the first time he's been named to the first team All-MLB because this is a very new award. They started the first team last year. And also Trevor Bauer, he has one-time All-Star to his name, and now he has a first team All-MLB. The second pitcher that was named to the first team All-MLB is Shane Bieber, who won the American League MVP unanimously, helped lead the Cleveland Indians to the playoffs, and in the 12 games, he would post an 8-1 record with a 1.63 ERA. In 77 innings, he would allow only 46 hits, 14 earned runs in those 77 innings. He would strike out 122, which would lead the American League and the MLB for that measure. And he finished and this is his first ever nomination to the first team All-MLB, and this would have been his second All-Star game. But he's only been a one-time All-Star. But the one time he was an All-Star, he was the All-Star Game MVP, and he also won the Triple Crown this year. So of course it would make sense that Shane Bieber was named a first team All-MLB starting pitcher. The third first-team All-MLB starting pitcher was Yu Darvish, who would pitch for the Chicago Cubs, and in his 12 games, he would post an 8-3 record with a 2.01 ERA, and in 76 innings, he would allow 17 runs. He would allow 59 hits in those 76 innings. He would strike out 93 batters. He would help the Chicago Cubs finish with the best record in the NL Central, and they would lose in the first round to the Marlins. But of course, Yu Darvish he had an amazing season to help the Chicago Cubs finish with the best record in their division. The fourth pitcher that was named to the first team MLB starting pitching rotation was Jacob deGrom, who, coming off of 2 consecutive Cy Young Award seasons, he would pitch 12 games. He would finish with a 4-2 record with a 2.38 ERA. He would pitch 68 innings. In those innings, he would allow only 18 runs. He would allow 47 hits in those 68 innings pitched and throw 104 strikeouts, which would lead the National League. He finished third in Cy Young voting after putting up an amazing season after amazing season after amazing season. And I think the Mets slightly missed out on the playoffs, but of course Jacob deGrom was not the reason. Jacob deGrom is arguably the best pitcher right now, and there's no reason to show. There's nothing that's shown he's really fallen off. So he had an amazing season. He was the fourth player named. And then to round out the first team All-MLB, the starting pitching rotation, is Max Fried of the Atlanta Braves, who in his third full season, he would pitch 11 games. He would finish with a 7-0 record with a 2.25 ERA. In 56 innings he pitched, he would allow 14 runs. He allowed 42 hits in those 56 innings. He would strike out 50 batters. He would be the Atlanta Braves ace after Mike Soroka got hurt, and he would help the Atlanta Braves finish with the second best record in the entire National League, finishing with the best record in the National League East. And Max Fried allowed the least amount of home runs out of all starting pitchers. So, I mean, Max Fried has been killing it, and he had won a Gold Glove this year. So, of course, and with the Gold Glove going on top of his amazing pitching and being the best pitcher on the second best team in the National League, Max Fried most definitely earned this first team nomination to the All-MLB squad. Now jumping to the second team All-MLB squad out of the starting pitchers. The first pitcher that was named is Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees, who would pitch 12 games, finish with a 7-3 record with a 2.84 ERA, with 2 complete games, one of them being a shutout. He pitched 73 innings. He allowed 23 runs in those 73 innings, allowed only 53 hits, and he would strike out 94 batters, and this would be his first year in New York, of course, after receiving that big contract. The Yankees would make it to the playoffs, but they would end up losing in the second round. But, of course, the Yankees were playing incredibly well, and Garrett Cole was their ace. And it would make sense that Garrett Cole was named to the second team All-MLB. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. The second player named to the second team All-MLB was Dinelson Lamet of the San Diego Padres, who was their ace, helped the San Diego Padres finish with the second best record in the NL West. In the 12 games that he started, he would finish with a 3-1 record. He had a 2.09 ERA. In 69 innings he pitched, he would allow 16 earned runs. He would allow 39 hits, and he would strike out 93 batters in that stretch. He finished 4th in Cy Young voting. And, of course, Dinelson Lamet starting to show San Diego that he can be the ace moving forward, especially with a lot of their young arms coming in from their farm system. Dinelson Lamet has set himself apart as definitely as a top 10 pitcher in this league. Third player named is one of my goated pitchers, Clayton Kershaw of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, after putting up an amazing season for the Los Angeles Dodgers, through the season, he would start 10 games because he had a bit of an injury spell. He would finish with a 6-2 record with a 2.16 ERA. He would pitch 51 innings. He would allow only 14 runs. He would allow 41 hits and strike out 62 batters in those 58 innings. The Los Angeles Dodgers finished with the best record in the entire MLB, and they ended up winning the World Series. And Clayton Kershaw, who at this time is who's an 8-time All-Star, who's won the ERA title 5 times. Won the Triple Crown, the MVP, the Cy Young 3 times, and finally he has won his first World Series as an MLB player. And Clayton Kershaw having an amazing season and then being recognized as a top 10 pitcher still in the MLB is a big honor. Clayton Kershaw had an amazing season this year. The next pitcher named to the All-MLB second team was Kenta Maeda, the starting pitcher of the Minnesota Twins, who ended up becoming their ace after a bit and helping the Minnesota Twins qualify for the playoffs. They lost to the Yankees in the first round, but Kenta Maeda did a really good job of getting there. After leaving Los Angeles, he went to Minnesota in his very first year. He would start 11 games. He finished with a 6-1 record in the AL Central, probably the toughest division in baseball this year. He finished with a 2.70 ERA, and in 66 innings, he would allow 20 earned runs and strike out 80 batters, while allowing he would allow 20 earned runs. He would allow 40 hits on the season, and he would strike out 80 batters. He also had one of the lowest batting averages against in baseball. So of course, Kenta Maeda, being one of the best pitchers on, of course, a playoff team would help him get there. Great season from him. And then the last starting pitcher that was named to the All-MLB second team was Hyunjin Ryu, who, of course, pitched for the Toronto Blue Jays in his first year off of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the Blue Jays would end up getting that last wild card spot in the American League. And in the 12 games that Hyunjin Ryu started, he would finish with a 5-2 record. He finished with a 2.69 ERA. This is third season in a row where he had a sub-3 ERA. He would pitch 67 innings, and in those 67 innings, he would allow only 20 earned runs. He would allow 60 hits in those 67 innings, and he would strike out 72 batters. He finished third in American League Cy Young voting, and I think it was fair to place him in the All-MLB second team, as he was voted by the media as a top 10 pitcher in all of baseball. Jumping to relief pitchers, starting or because there are two relief pitchers for the first team and the second team. So going back to the first team, first one was Nick Anderson, who was the relief pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, who ended up winning the American League. And in this season, he would pitch 19 innings, or he would pitch in 19 games. He would finish with a 2-1 record. He would finish with a .55 ERA. And in 16 innings pitched, he would allow only 5 hits. He allowed 1 earned run all season. He struck out 26 batters in those 16 innings pitched, and of course was a big help in getting those Tampa Bay Rays to the playoffs. And he ended up pitching incredibly well in the playoffs as well. I think he might have blown a save in the playoffs, but Nick Anderson he had a really great, incredible season. I mean, he pitched 19 games and only allowed 1 run, and it was a home run. So I mean, you can't stop that. I mean, great season from him, and he most definitely deserved to be first team All-MLB. And the second pitcher that was named to the All-MLB team was Liam Hendriks, the closer for the Oakland A's, who already is a one-time All-Star. And in this most recent season, the season after he was named an All-Star for the first time, he would pitch in 24 games. He would pitch 25 innings. He would finish with a 3-1 record and a 1.78 ERA. He would finish with 14 saves on the season, which would lead the finish at the top of the American League. He was instrumental in helping the Oakland A's finish with the second best record in the entire American League. And I imagine that he's going to be in Oakland and at least getting paid for a long time, because up until his age 30 season, which was 2019, he had never been an All-Star, but he's found his role within the Oakland A's system. And he is the second player that was named to the All-MLB first team. Jumping to the All-MLB second team out of relief pitchers, the first pitcher's name was Brad Hand, who was a relief pitcher for the Cleveland Indians. And this year he would pitch in 23 games. He pitched 22 innings. Brad Hand led the American League in saves, as he had 16 of them. And he would finish with a 2-1 record with a 2.05 ERA. In 22 innings pitched, he would allow 13 hits total, and he would only allow 5 earned runs on the season, and he would strike out 29 batters in those 22 innings. And of course, the Cleveland Indians did make the playoffs, and Brad Hand was a big part of them winning a lot of the games that they did. And the other second team All-MLB relief pitcher was Devin Williams, who was most recently named the National League Reliever of the Year and the National League Rookie of the Year. In this season, he would end up pitching 27 innings. He would play in 22 games. He finished with a .33 ERA on the year. He would allow 8 hits in those 27 innings. He would allow 1 earned run. That 1 earned run came off of a home run. And he would strike out 53 batters in 27 innings, which is 1 strikeout away from being 2 strikeouts per inning, which is unheard of by any pitcher in any era. I mean, so incredible start to his career, and after that, there's no way you can not recognize Devin Williams as an All-MLB player. So of course, he most definitely earned that honor. And those are all the pitchers that have been named, and I'm just gonna go right up through the order. Start next going to catchers. And in 2020, the first team All-MLB catcher was Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals, who was, of course, before this, a 6-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove, 3-time Silver Slugger. I mean, he was named a Silver Slugger this year. He was named a Gold Glove 5 of the previous 6 years. And he would play 37 games. In those 37 games, he would finish with 22 runs. He had 50 hits. He had finished with 11 home runs, 32 RBIs, finishing with a 333 batting average, and he finished with a 986 OPS. He missed 23 of the games, but I think the fact that he missed 23 games and he still was voted as the league's best catcher should show you how good Salvador Perez is. And he has a World Series under his belt, a World Series MVP. And the second team All-MLB catcher was JT Realmuto of the Philadelphia Phillies. This year he would play 47 games. He had 46 hits in those games, 33 runs. 11 home runs, 32 RBIs, 266 batting average, and an 840 OPS. And of course, the 2 years prior to this one, he was named an All-Star. So of course, he's one of the league's best catchers, and it would make sense that he would be named, if not the best, the second best catcher in the entire league. Great season for JT Realmuto. First team All-MLB first baseman was Freddie Freeman, the MVP of the National League. In addition to helping the Braves finish with the second best record in the National League, he would play all 60 games. He led the National League in runs with 51. He had 73 hits in those 60 games. He led the National League in doubles with 23 of them. 13 home runs, 53 RBIs, 45 walks, which finished him among the top. He had a 341 batting average and an 1102 OPS to show you how dominant of a player he was, and he also was given his second Silver Slugger of his entire career. And if they allowed All-Stars to be given, this would have been his 5th All-Star season. Great season from Freddie Freeman. The All-MLB second-team first baseman was Jose Abreu, the MVP of the American League, who would have been named an All-Star for the 4th time in his career. He played all 60 games. He finished with 43 runs on the season. He led the American League with 76 hits, 15 RBIs, 19 home runs, led an American League leading 60 RBIs. He was second in the American League in home runs. He finished with a 317 batting average and a 987 OPS. And, of course, Jose Abreu established himself as one of the league's best first basemen, and great season to him. He was named the most outstanding player in the American League by his peers. He was named the American League MVP by the media, and Jose Abreu had an amazing season, and he will finish it off by being named All-MLB second-team first baseman. DJ LeMahieu was named to the All-MLB first team at second base. He's the first player. I don't know if he might be the first player in MLB history, or first player in a while. He won the batting title in both leagues. He won it in Colorado in 2017 or 2016, and he won it in New York this year. He would play only 50 games. He would finish with 71 hits in those 50 games. He had 41 runs to go with him, 10 home runs, 27 RBIs, an MLB leading 364 batting average, an MLB leading 421 OBP, or the AL and American League leading, and the American League leading 10-11 OPS on the season. So, yes, DJ LeMahieu was a very elite baseball player this year, and it would make sense that he was named as All-MLB first-team second baseman. The second baseman that was named to the All-MLB second team was Brandon Lau of the Tampa Bay Rays, who helped the Rays that ended up making it out of all American League teams, the team that made it to the World Series. Brandon Lau would end up playing 56 games. He would finish with 52 hits in those 56 games, 36 runs, 14 home runs, 37 RBIs, 269 batting average, and a 916 OPS. Brandon Lau just showing that he was one of the league's best second basemen, and of course being very instrumental in the Tampa Bay Rays getting to the World Series. He's the only Tampa Bay Rays position player that was named to one of these teams. The first team All-MLB third baseman was Manny Machado, who was playing on the San Diego Padres this year in his second year after receiving his multi-million-dollar contract, proving that he's worth that contract. He would play all 60 games of the season. He finished with 68 hits in those 60 games with 44 runs. He had 16 home runs, 47 RBIs. He finished with a 304 batting average and a 950 OPS on the season, finishing third in MVPs. And then he was also given the Silver Slugger for the first time in his career. And he'd also helped the Padres finish with the second best record in the National League, and they finished with the 4th seed in the entire playoffs. Second team All-MLB third baseman was Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez would play 58 games for the Cleveland Indians that ended up making the playoffs. He would end up leading the American League with 45 runs. He had 64 hits in those 58 games. He had 17 home runs and 46 RBIs with a 292 batting average and a 993 OPS, and he finished as the runner-up in the American League in MVP voting. I mean, he gets close. This is his third top 3 finish in the MVP voting like in his career, which should show how elite he is at his position. All MLB or the All MLB shortstop this year was Fernando Tatis in his second year in the MLB after being named a Silver Slugger for the first time in his career. After finishing third in Rookie of the Year voting last year, he would play 59 games, where he would finish with 62 hits. He had 50 runs in those 59 games. He had 17 home runs, 45 RBIs with a 277 batting average and a 937 OPS. And this is a really impressive feat. The fact that he's 21 in his second year and making first team All MLB should show how dominant he's going to be over the next few years if he chooses to stay healthy. And of course, he was a big part of the Padres finishing with the second best record in the entire National League. The second team All-MLB shortstop was Corey Seager, who in his most recent year with the Los Angeles Dodgers would play 52 games in the season. He would finish with 65 hits in those 52 games with 38 runs. He had 15 home runs, 41 RBIs with a 307 batting average and a 943 OPS. He finished ninth in MVP voting, but he was named the NLDS, the NLCS, and the World Series. I don't know if he's named the World Series MVP, but he was definitely named the MVP in the NLDS and the NLCS. Great player. He had some really big moments in the playoffs. He actually has he's shown up in some big moments, and Corey Seager is just beginning his rise as an MLB superstar. And of course, he's already been an All-Star twice. Great season from Corey Seager. The first and the three, so going to the outfield, Mookie Betts was named to the first team All MLB after playing 55 games with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He finished with 64 hits in those 55 games with 47 runs. He had 16 home runs, 39 RBIs with a 292 batting average and a 927 OPS as he finishes the runner-up in the MVP race. And he won the Gold Glove and the Silver Slugger, winning the Gold Glove for the 5th year in a row and the Silver Slugger for the 3rd year in a row and the 4th time in 5 years. Mookie Betts, of course, that would make sense that he was named to the first team All-MLB. In addition to him, Juan Soto of the Washington Nationals of the 2019 World Series, like he's the World Series winner from then, he was named to the All-MLB first team after playing only 47 games for the Nationals that didn't make the playoffs. He finished with 54 hits in those 47 games with 39 runs. He ended up leading the National League with a 351 batting average. He led the National League with a 490 OBP. He led the National League with a 695 slugging percentage, and he led the National League with an 1185 OPS. So there's no way you can keep him out of the first team All-MLB as he finished 5th in MVP voting and he won his first Silver Slugger of his career. Also named to the first team All-MLB was Mike Trout, who's one of my GOATed players. 8-time All-Star, 3-time MVP in this year. He would play 53 games for the Los Angeles Angels in his first year since 2011, in his first year in his career, except 2011, where he wasn't named an All-Star because they couldn't name All-Stars. He would finish with 56 hits in 53 games to go along with his 41 runs. He had 17 home runs with 46 RBIs with a 281 batting average and a 993 OPS, and he finished 5th in MVP voting and would win yet another Silver Slugger. And at this point, I think it's his 8th Silver Slugger at this point. Mike Trout, of course, showing that he's one of the best, and even though his team didn't make the playoffs, he's still being that guy. On the second team All-MLB, Ronald Acuna was named as he played 46 games for the Atlanta Braves. He finished with 40 hits in those 46 games with 46 runs. He would finish with a 250 batting average and a 987 OPS as he was given his second Silver Slugger in his career. He was voted 12th in MVP voting as he helped the Braves finish with the best record in the NL East, giving them a second seed in the playoffs. Also named to the second team All-MLB was Mike Yastrzemski of the San Francisco Giants, who would help the Giants not make the playoffs, but in the 54 games, he finished with 57 hits and 39 runs. He led the National League with 4 triples. He had 10 home runs, 35 RBIs, with a 297 batting average and a 968 OPS. And also named to the second team All-MLB was Michael Conforto of the New York Mets. The Mets didn't necessarily make the playoffs, but Mike Conforto would play 54 games. He had 65 hits and 40 runs in those 54 games, 9 home runs, 31 RBIs, a 322 batting average, and a 927 OPS. He was named an All-Star in 2017, but he's shown that he can be one of the league's best players, returning back to All-Star form. And last but not least, jumping to the designated hitter position, first team All-MLB was Marcell Ozuna of the Atlanta Braves, the two-time All-Star, two-time Silver Slugger. Great season from him. He would play all 60 games for an Atlanta Braves team that finished with the second seed in the National League after winning the NL East. He would finish with 77 hits and 38 runs in those 60 games. He had 14 doubles. He led the National League with 18 home runs, and he led the National League with 56 RBIs. He finished with a 338 batting average and a 1067 OPS. So, of course, it would make sense that Marcell Ozuna would do so. Had an amazing year. And second team All-MLB at designated hitter was Nelson Cruz, the designated hitter for the Minnesota Twins, the six-time All-Star, four-time Silver Slugger, who went on to he won his fourth Silver Slugger this year in his age 39 season. And in 53 games, he would finish with 56 hits and 33 runs. He had 16 home runs and 33 RBIs as he finished with a 303 batting average and a 992 OPS. As the Minnesota Twins ended up making the playoffs, and he was a big role in that. And he was also regarded by his peers. He received an MLB award. He got the Roberto Clemente Award. And with that said, these are all the players in the first team and second team for All-MLB. These players should be recommended for, of course, being recognized as either the best or the second best at their position in the entire league. And when you take into consideration all the baseball players in the world that play, out of all the professional players, even in the MLB systems, these are the best players at their own sport. I think that in itself deserves recognition. And this was a good way to finish off the 2020 MLB season. Once again, it is Thursday, December 10th, 2020 out here in this quarantine. And as soon as this next season starts, I'll get right back to you regarding the 2021 season. Thanks for being here for the journey. Peace out, and I'll catch you next season.